Welcome to Winning Paths, your gateway into the enthralling realm of archery. Dive deep into its theories, unravel its rich history, and bask in a wealth of experiences shared by us and our distinguished guests. This podcast is a treasure trove of all things archery, brought to life through engaging dialogues and insightful monologues. Proudly produced by the Irish Field Archery Monthly, Ireland's premier non-profit archery community magazine, our existence is a testament to the unwavering support and dedication of our listeners. If our content resonates with you, we warmly invite you to bolster our mission through a direct donation to our dedicated account. Find the link in our description. Our episodes are the culmination of thoughtful analysis, extensive research, academic endeavors, and the publication of articles and books on archery, both in Ireland and internationally. The core of our content is original, crafted from our intellectual endeavors, while any borrowed insights are duly credited, showcasing the cited authors and outlining our research methodology. Our commitment to you is unwavering, to deliver compelling, original content bi-weekly, free of charge, enriching your knowledge and passion for archery. Have you ever wondered what happens when you mix divine arrogance with a dash of brotherly rivalry and a pinch of trickster malice? Well, today's tale answers that with a story sharper than Odin's one good eye and more twisted than Loki's sense of humor. Yes, it's the tale of Baldr and Höðr, featuring a blind archer, a mistletoe arrow, and more family drama than your last holiday dinner. Picture this: Baldr, the golden boy of Asgard, beloved by everyone except maybe those of us who prefer a little more chaos in our divine soap operas. Baldr's mom, Frigg, being the overprotective matriarch she is, goes on a cosmic campaign to make sure nothing, absolutely nothing, can harm her precious boy. She gets oaths from fire, water, rocks, trees, and probably even the kitchen sink. But she skips over mistletoe thinking, what's the worst that a tiny twig can do? Spoiler alert, a lot. Enter Loki, the original agent of chaos, who hears about this oversight and decides it's time to stir the pot. He fashions an arrow from mistletoe, because why not make things interesting, and hands it to Höðr, Baldr's blind brother. Talk about sibling rivalry. Loki, ever the helpful guy, guides Höðr's hand, and before you know it, boom! The mistletoe arrow flies, Baldr drops, and the gods go from party mode to funeral planning in record time. Now, you might be wondering, what does archery have to do with this family fiasco? Well, besides proving that giving a blind guy a bow and arrow is never a good idea, it shows us that even the gods aren't immune to the whims of fate or Loki's terrible ideas. The bow and arrow here aren't just weapons, they're instruments of irony. They remind us that no matter how much you try to control destiny, it has a way of hitting you right where it hurts. So, sit back, grab your mead, and enjoy as we unravel the absurd, the tragic, and the downright entertaining threads of this mythological mess. Because in the world of Norse gods, even a mistletoe arrow can pack a punch. And remember, folks, when life hands you mistletoe, maybe just make some festive decorations instead of weapons of mass destruction. Stay tuned, and let's get into the hilariously tragic saga of Baldr and Höðr, right here on Norse Nonsense, or just our regular Winning Paths. Baldr was the golden boy of Asgard, literally and figuratively. With his radiant beauty, fairness, and charm, he was adored by gods and mortals alike. His presence brought light and joy, a stark contrast to the often grim and foreboding Norse pantheon. But as with all bright stars, Baldr's brilliance attracted the shadow of envy and doom. Baldr began having ominous dreams, premonitions of his own death. These dreams, like an unwelcome draught in a cozy pub, chilled the very heart of Asgard. Frigg, Baldr's mother, frantic with worry, took it upon herself to secure oaths from all things in creation not to harm her beloved son. From stones to trees, fire to water, everything swore not to harm Baldr. Everything, that is, except the humble mistletoe, which Frigg, in her haste, deemed too insignificant to be of concern. Enter Loki, the god of mischief, who found the whole affair utterly tedious. He couldn't stand the idea of Baldr being invincible, his light unchallenged by the delightful chaos that Loki so adored. In Loki's eyes, the universe without a touch of mayhem was like a pint without foam, utterly lacking, With his mind as sharp as a serpent's fang, Loki devised a plan to turn the gods' merriment into a tragic spectacle. He crafted an arrow from the mistletoe, the one thing that hadn't sworn to spare Baldr. And then, like a seasoned playwright setting the stage for the final act, he approached Höðr, Baldr's blind brother. Höðr, poor sod, was the unwitting pawn in Loki's scheme. Loki handed him the mistletoe arrow and guided his hand, whispering that it was all in good fun, just another game to honor Baldr's invincibility. Höðr, trusting his mischievous guide, threw the dart. It flew true and struck Baldr, piercing his heart. The golden god fell, lifeless, his radiance snuffed out like a candle in a gale. Asgard was plunged into mourning. The gods, stunned by the sudden loss, turned their sorrow into rage, seeking out Loki to exact vengeance. Loki, ever the trickster, slipped away, leaving a trail of chaos in his wake. Baldr's death marked the beginning of Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, a cataclysm that would reshape the cosmos. Baldr's body was placed on a ship, which was then set aflame and pushed out to sea, a Viking funeral fit for a god. Nanna, Baldr's devoted wife, overcome with grief, threw herself onto the pyre, joining her husband in death. The gods watched in sorrow as the flames consumed them, the smoke rising to the heavens, a stark reminder of the fragility of even divine life. Baldr's soul descended to Hel, the realm of the dead, ruled by the goddess Hel. There, he was destined to remain until the end of days. The gods, not content with losing their beloved, sent Hermodr, the Swift, to negotiate Baldr's release. Riding Sleipnir, Odin's eight-legged steed, Hermodr journeyed to the underworld. Upon reaching Hel's realm, Hermodr pleaded for Baldr's return. Hel, with her usual somber demeanor, agreed on one condition. If all things in the world wept for Baldr, he could return to the living. The gods, hopeful yet again, sent messengers far and wide, urging all beings to shed tears for Baldr. And so they did, from the highest gods to the lowliest creatures. All wept for the fallen god. All, that is, except for one giantess named Thok, who many believed to be Loki in disguise. Thok's refusal sealed Baldr's fate, ensuring that he would remain in the underworld until Ragnarok. The gods' hopes were dashed, and Loki's treachery was confirmed, setting the stage for the final confrontation between order and chaos. The gods were left to grapple with their grief and the stark reality of Baldr's permanent absence. Odin, the All-Father, was particularly stricken. Baldr was not just a beloved son, but also a symbol of light and hope in a world increasingly dominated by shadows. Without Baldr, the balance of power in the cosmos tilted dangerously towards darkness. Frigg, Baldr's mother, was inconsolable. Her efforts to protect her son had ultimately failed, and the weight of that failure bore heavily on her. She withdrew into herself, her once bright and nurturing spirit dimmed by sorrow. Höðr, the unwitting instrument of his brother's demise, was consumed by guilt. Though blind, he could see clearly the impact of his actions. Isolated and ostracized, Höðr's existence became a testament to the devastating effects of manipulation and deceit. Loki's role in Baldr's death could not go unpunished. The gods, determined to exact revenge, hunted him down. Loki, ever the master of disguise and evasion, eluded them for a time, but even his cunning could not save him from the collective wrath of the gods. He was eventually captured and brought before Odin. The sentence was as severe as the crime. Loki was bound with the entrails of his own son, a venomous serpent placed above him to drip poison onto his face for all eternity. His wife Sigyn stood by him, catching the venom in a bowl, but whenever she left to empty it, the poison would sear Loki's face, causing him to writhe in agony and shake the very foundations of the earth. Baldr's death and Loki's punishment were but the opening acts in the greater saga of Ragnarok, the prophesied end of the world. The death of Baldr, the beloved god, set in motion a series of events that would lead to the ultimate battle between the forces of order and chaos. The gods prepared for the inevitable, knowing that Baldr's death was a harbinger of doom. They readied themselves for the final confrontation, aware that their actions and choices had brought them to this point. The equilibrium of the cosmos hangs in the balance, and the outcome of Ragnarok would determine the fate of all creation. The tale of Baldr and Höðr, while steeped in tragedy, offers a wealth of lessons. It speaks to the dangers of hubris and the unpredictable nature of fate. Even the gods, with all their power and wisdom, are not immune to the capriciousness of destiny. Loki's mischief, driven by envy and boredom, serves as a cautionary reminder of the destructive potential of unchecked ambition and malice. His actions, though seemingly minor in the grand scheme, set off a chain reaction that led to untold suffering and the eventual downfall of the gods. Baldr's death, a result of his mother's well-intentioned but ultimately flawed efforts to protect him, highlights the futility of trying to control every aspect of life. Despite our best efforts, we cannot shield ourselves or our loved ones from the inherent risks and uncertainties of existence. Höðr's role in the tale is a sobering reminder of the consequences of ignorance and manipulation. His guilt and isolation reflect the profound impact of unintended actions, a cautionary tale for those who may find themselves unwittingly complicit in the schemes of others. Loki, the eternal trickster, embodies the chaotic and unpredictable elements of existence. His actions, while reprehensible, are a stark reminder of the duality of creation and destruction, and the fine line that separates order from chaos. In our modern world, the tale of Baldr and Höðr continues to hold relevance. It speaks to the universal experiences of love and loss, the challenges of navigating complex relationships, and the constant struggle to find balance in a world filled with uncertainty. The story encourages us to embrace the beauty of life while acknowledging its inherent risks. It reminds us to cherish our loved ones and to approach each day with a sense of wonder and gratitude. At the same time, it cautions us against the dangers of complacency and the perils of unchecked ambition. As we reflect on the tale of Baldr and Höðr, we are reminded that even in the darkest of times, there is always a glimmer of hope. Baldr's light, extinguished in the prime of his life, serves as a poignant reminder that the forces of good and beauty, while vulnerable, are enduring. His death was not in vain. It was a catalyst for transformation, both in the mythological world and within ourselves. In today's fast-paced society, we often encounter our own versions of Loki, individuals or situations that introduce chaos and challenge our sense of stability, whether in the form of personal betrayals, systemic injustices, or unforeseen calamities. These disruptions force us to adapt, to reassess our values, and to find strength within ourselves and our communities. The tale also highlights the importance of vigilance and discernment. Frigg's oversight with the mistletoe symbolizes the human tendency to overlook the small, seemingly insignificant details that can have profound consequences. In our own lives, it serves as a reminder to pay attention to the nuances, to question assumptions, and to be aware of the potential impact of our actions. Moreover, the story of Höðr emphasizes the weight of unintended consequences. His unwitting participation in Baldr's death underscores the importance of mindfulness and the need to consider the broader implications of our decisions. In a world where actions are increasingly interconnected, the ripple effects of our choices can extend far beyond our immediate surroundings. Loki's role as the trickster god invites us to acknowledge the complexity of human nature. His blend of charm and malevolence reflects the duality present in each of us. By understanding and integrating these aspects, we can strive for greater self-awareness and a more balanced approach to life. Finally, the communal response to Baldr's death, sending Höðr to hell, the collective mourning, and the eventual punishment of Loki, illustrates the power of collective action. In moments of crisis, coming together as a community, pooling our resources, and standing in solidarity can lead to meaningful change and healing. Life is like a pint of stout. You have to wait patiently for the best bits to settle. The tale of Baldr and Höðr offers us a timeless guide for resilience and growth, teaching us that no matter the trials and tribulations, we have the inner strength and collective power to overcome them. By drawing on the wisdom of the past, we can carve a path toward a more compassionate, aware, and harmonious future. May your glass be ever full, and your heart be light and merry, as the song goes. Let's raise our glasses to Baldr and Höðr and celebrate their legacy with a blend of reverence and humor. Their story stands as a testament to the enduring power of myth, a source of inspiration, and a wellspring of wisdom. Their tale continues to guide us, challenge us, and remind us of life's complexities and beauty. Here's to Baldr, the shining god, whose light continues to illuminate our hearts and minds. And here's to Höðr, the unwitting instrument of fate, whose journey teaches us the value of awareness and responsibility. May we find strength in their stories, courage in their lessons, and joy in the shared journey of life. Now, let's shift our gaze from the mythic realms of Asgard to the quiet village of Castletown in County Lowis, where an elderly lady named Neve Gallagher resided in a nursing home. By day, she was a frail, mistreated resident, but by night she transformed into an invincible and restless Valkyrie, chasing the gods of the north in her dreams. Neve Gallagher was no ordinary old lady. Her frail exterior belied a spirit as fierce as any warrior's. The nursing home staff, however, treated her with the typical disdain reserved for the elderly in such institutions, seeing her only as a burden. They dismissed her tales of valor and gods as the ramblings of a senile mind. Neve's days were filled with monotony and neglect, her meals cold and her room drafty. The staff's idea of care was a far cry from the nurturing environment one might hope for, but as night fell, Neve's reality shifted. In her dreams, she was a Valkyrie, fierce and free, riding across the sky, her sword gleaming in the moonlight. In her dreams, Neve was unstoppable. She fought alongside the greatest warriors, her battle cries echoing through the halls of Valhalla. She chased down the gods of the north, her heart pounding with the thrill of the hunt. The gods themselves feared her, for in this dream world, Neve was more than a match for any deity. One night she encountered Baldr, still radiant despite his death. He greeted her warmly, recognizing her as a fellow warrior. Neve felt a surge of pride, knowing that even in her dreams she was respected by the gods. But morning always came too soon, dragging Neve back to her dreary existence. She would wake to the harsh light of day, the smell of antiseptic, and the indifferent faces of the nursing home staff. Her tales of nighttime adventures were met with patronizing smiles and murmurs of, "Poor dear, she's lost her mind." One particularly cruel nurse, Fiona, took pleasure in mocking Neve's stories. "So, fought any gods lately, Valkyrie?" she would sneer, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Neve, undeterred, would simply nod and smile, knowing that her true life was lived in the world of dreams. One evening, a new resident arrived, a retired stage actor named Declan Murphy, known for his flair for the dramatic and his insatiable curiosity. Declan, with his theatrical voice and charismatic presence, quickly befriended Neve. Unlike the others, he listened to her tales with genuine interest and respect. "Niamh, tell me more about your nights in Valhalla," Declan would say, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. Niamh found a kindred spirit in Declan, someone who believed in the magic of her dreams. As their friendship grew, Declan decided to investigate the nursing home's treatment of its residents. His actor's knack for uncovering secrets led him to some shocking discoveries. The staff, it seemed, had been skimming funds meant for the residents, cutting corners on care and pocketing the rest. Declan, ever the crusader for justice, confronted the nursing home's management, exposing their misdeeds. The authorities were called, and the corrupt staff members, including the sneering Fiona, were swiftly dealt with. The nursing home was put under new management, and the quality of care improved dramatically. Neve's life took a turn for the better. Her meals were hot, her room warm, and her stories were met with admiration rather than ridicule. She continued to dream of Valhalla, but now her days were filled with a new kind of joy, knowing that she was finally respected and cared for. However, life has a way of turning the tables. Despite the improvements, Neve's health began to decline. The new staff, though kind, were not miracle workers. Neve's dreams of Valhalla grew more vivid as her body weakened, her spirit preparing for its final journey. One night, as she lay drifting between wakefulness and sleep, she heard Baldr's voice. "Neve, it's time to join us," he whispered. Neve felt a strange sense of peace, knowing her adventures were not ending but merely beginning anew in the halls of Valhalla. In the end, Neve passed away peacefully in her sleep, her face serene. The nursing home residents and staff mourned her loss, but Declan, with his belief in the mystical, knew better. He was certain that Neve, the Valkyrie, had finally joined her fellow warriors, her spirit soaring free. In a final twist of irony, the new management decided to name the nursing home in her honor, a tribute to the invincible Valkyrie they had unknowingly housed. Gallagher House became a symbol of strength and resilience, a reminder that even in the face of neglect and adversity, the human spirit could triumph. So, what's the takeaway from Neve's tale? Perhaps it's that life is a series of battles, some fought in the waking world, and others in the realm of dreams. It's a reminder that even the most neglected and mistreated among us can possess a spirit of unimaginable strength and resilience. And of course, it's a darkly humorous nod to the idea that sometimes it takes the uncovering of corruption to bring about real change. In the end, whether we are gods or mortals, blind archers or Valkyries in disguise, we all face our own struggles and triumphs. And as Niamh Gallagher's story shows, even in the darkest of times, there's always a bit of light to be found, if only we have the courage to seek it out. And thus, dear listeners, we reach the end of another episode of Winning Paths, our little corner of the cosmos, where the absurdity of myth meets the cynicism of modern life. What have we learned from the tale of Baldr and Höðr, you ask? Well, besides the obvious lesson that letting a blind guy shoot arrows is a recipe for disaster, we've also unearthed some sparkling gems of wisdom. For starters, the gods, in their infinite savvy, are just as capable of colossal blunders as we mere mortals. Frigg's overconfidence in her cosmic bubble wrap left one tiny loophole: mistletoe, a plant so benign it's mostly known for awkward kisses at Christmas parties. Yet, in the hands of our favorite mischief maker, Loki, it became a weapon of mass destruction. If that's not a cosmic joke, I don't know what is. Then there's Höðr, the poor blind pawn in Loki's game. It's a classic case of trust me bro, gone horribly wrong. Let's take a moment to appreciate the irony. The gods, with all their power and foresight, didn't see this coming. Höðr's arrow, guided by Loki's deceit, reminds us that even the mightiest can be brought low by a well-placed shot of misfortune. As for Baldr, the golden boy, his untimely demise serves as a stark reminder that even the brightest stars can be snuffed out by the smallest of things. It's the Norse equivalent of slipping on a banana peel, tragic yet darkly humorous. His death sets the stage for Ragnarok, the end-of-the-world party, where everything gets turned upside down. Because, let's face it, what's a good story without a little cataclysm? But let's not forget our modern-day Valkyrie, the indomitable Niamh Gallagher, whose spirit soared above the mundane trials of nursing home life. By day, she was just another frail old lady, disregarded by indifferent staff. By night, she was a fearsome warrior, slicing through the heavens on her mighty steed, giving the gods a run for their celestial money. And isn't that just the kind of mischievous twist Loki would love? From neglected mortal to revered Valkyrie, Niamh's dreams were the ultimate punchline to life's little indignities. So, dear listeners, as you navigate your own mythological madhouses, remember the tale of Baldr and Höðr and the adventures of Niamh Gallagher. Life's a chaotic mess of misguided trusts, unforeseen pitfalls, and occasional triumphs. When fate hands you mistletoe, perhaps think twice before turning it into an arrow. Instead of toasting, let us turn to the ancient tomes, those weighty books brimming with the wisdom of the ages and the scribbles found on toilet doors, where truth often appears unvarnished. Celebrate the gods, bumbling, brilliant, and wonderfully flawed. And to Niamh, the Valkyrie who showed us that even in the darkest places, there's a spark of warrior spirit waiting to burst into flame. May we learn from their missteps and laugh at our own. Until next time, keep your arrows straight and your wits about you. This has been Winning Paths, where myth meets mirth, and every episode is a shot in the dark.